everybody. I want to welcome y'all to the very first edition of a new program that we're starting called the Power Years. And we are something that we're going to be doing every month going forward. We are looking at the possibility of determining if we need to change the time. We're looking at the possibility of keeping it at brunch, or maybe even have a late afternoon session. But the idea is every month we're going to have a program that is specifically designed for people entering what we call their power years. And the power years really can be defined in any number of ways. But basically people, as I'm saying, entering their third chapter of life. The first chapter really is when we are raised and we get our education. The second chapter is when we're having our working life and raising families. And the third chapter can be, it could be age 40, it could be age 50, it could be age 60, it could be age whatever. I know that that Cord and Katie and Cameron do their podcast, and they were talking about the FIRE program, I guess, which is financial independence, retire early. And they're saying that could be as early as age 40. So the reality is that we're living in an age today that people are living longer, they're living healthier longer, they're living well longer. And we really are trying to create a program that's all about empowering to live your best life. And so every month we're going to have a different topic. It's going to be, for example, next month it's going to be on beauty aesthetics. And we're going to have topics on things like flower, landscaping and flower design, and special hobbies, travel, fitness, a number of different things. So keep up with the information as it's coming out every month on the first Thursday. It's going to be that. In the month of October, we actually are going to move it to an afternoon session, and it's going to be the Power Hour. Instead of a happy hour, it's going to be a power hour, and so we'll have wine and cheese, and it'll be from 4:30 to 6, and we'll kind of figure out what is the kind of the sweet spot for us in terms of time. But again, this is about sessions that is all about you, all about enjoying your best life. And so if you have thoughts and suggestions about topics that you'd like for us to do, then we'll make them happen. And the idea is that this is going to be a build. My expectation is 6 months from now, a year from now, we'll be having significantly larger groups. But today, you always have to start with that first step, and this is the first step. In addition to these sessions, we also are going to be providing to everyone it's going to be a website network. There's going to be monthly newsletters that we'll be emailing that will include information. And our very first Power Years partner is the amazing people at the Page Robbins Adult Daycare. And we've had a great partnership with Herbie and her team for so many years. They've been such an incredible partner in the Collierville community. And actually, one of our staff members and team members has been a member of their board for many, many years. And so as opposed to me introducing these amazing ladies, then I thought that I would invite one of our own amazing ladies, Robin Winsett, to come forward. Robin serves on the board of Page Robbins, and I fear she would be a great person to tell a little about their story and introduce them. So welcome. Welcome to the Power Years, and we look forward to a long journey with you. Robin?
I'm not as tall. Sorry. All right. I'm Robin Winsett. I'm one of the administrators for David and Katie. I'm going to read their bios because I know them, but actually I'm learning stuff new about them. So it's Herbie Krisle became executive director of Page Robbins in 2005. She was a caregiver to her mom, who suffered from vascular dementia and Alzheimer's disease for 10 years. So she's keenly aware of the stress caregivers feel. Herbie's work at Page Robbins brings her great joy, and I can tell you it really does. And love this. She must have written this. She serves an incredible board of directors. She did that for me. And leads staff with minimal employee turnover, which is so true. Rarely does a staff member leave Page Robbins, which is extraordinary when you're dealing with clientele that suffer from dementia. And it allows each staff member to know their role, do it well, and provide exceptional care. Herbie is extremely engaged in the Collierville community, where she's lived for a long time. I'm not going to say how old, because then that might tell you how old she is. I won't let David say anything about how long I've done stuff. She's an active member of the Collierville Rotary Club and is a Paul Harris Fellow, Collierville and Germantown Chamber of Commerce, Collierville United Methodist Church, where she's the Stephen minister. All right. And sings in the choir. She also enjoyed singing with Memphis Symphony Chorus in the past and is a certified barbecue judge. She has one daughter who is her pride and joy. That's not in here, but I can tell you it's her pride and joy, Meg. Meg is a former law enforcement officer, and she's serving as a major in the Mississippi Army National Guard, currently on full-time orders. And if you were at Collierville for 4th of July, Meg was honored by the Collierville community. We also have Katie Earheart-Brown, and I'm still trying to get used to her new last name. She is Development and Communications Director at Page Robbins. She joined Page Robbins in 2013. This one I will say, because it's 2 weeks after she graduated from college. She went to Hendrix College in Conway, Arkansas. She is a native Memphian, and she loves serving her community. Katie's been affected by memory loss through a close family member's battle with dementia, and she also finds great joy helping the clients and caregivers at Page Robbins have wonderful days. She's the communications chair and secretary for the Memphis Chapter Association of Fundraising Professionals. She is married to Paul, and they have the cutest little girl named Caroline, who was born in December 2022, and she might have a picture of Caroline if you want to see. On a personal note, I got to know Page Robbins and especially Herbie when my mother started suffering from dementia. She never qualified to go to Page Robbins, but they have a tremendous caregiver support network. And so Herbie and Sherry that works there, Katie, the entire staff at Page Robbins held my hand for 8 years with trying to learn how to go on a new journey with my mom through dementia, and they are absolutely amazing. It is an absolute honor to serve on their board. So I was thrilled when they asked me. But without further ado, I will introduce Herbie and Katie, who are the sweetest people alive.
Thank you, Robin, for that sweet introduction. We are so glad to be here with y'all today, and we are going to start out with a video, actually. We want you to meet one of our caregivers and our participants. We want you to meet Brittany and Betty, and we think that they can tell you their story a little bit better than we can.
I cannot describe the ways in which Page Robbins has benefited our family, from allowing me to focus on my career to when I have some days or time off, giving me time to focus on myself. It's allowing me to be the 26-year-old that I kind of had hoped I would get to be. And honestly, just the kindness and the love and care that I've been shown in just the few short months that we've been here, that's just priceless, what they've really given us. I couldn't have imagined a more perfect 20-something years with my best friend. She instilled so many great values into me. She never made me feel like I should be ashamed to be anything or anybody or any person. You know, just being myself was enough. And she just made me feel so validated. And I think as we go through this part of our life, that's the least I can do for her. And so when the pandemic came around, of course, we all had to go back and chill at home for a little bit. And I think that's really where I noticed that Mom was missing some bills, or I saw some mail come in that said, past due. And she has never missed a bill, as far as I know, in her entire life. And so to see that there were things stacking up, or there were things that maybe had gone spoiled when Mom was a very meticulous cleaner, and just things started to slip, I started to notice it just because I was at home 24/7. So when I started to see some of those signs, I immediately took Mom to a neurologist, and we finally landed on a diagnosis that she had Alzheimer's. So being able to move forward with that and understand what was happening, I can't have imagined, Page Robbins, I think, was always meant to be a part of our story just because of how well everyone takes care of Mom and me, and just is here to support us in a way that I think not a lot of people know how to prepare for. Coming to Paige Robbins has definitely helped Mom just continue some of her independence. First of all, I'm glad that she is one of apparently a shining employee here. I think it's wonderful that she, even though she doesn't know particularly the specifics of how everything works, she feels that she's important and she's useful, and that, you know, this is some place that she expects to go and is excited to go. I think it's difficult when your 26-year-old child is telling you what to do or suggesting what to do. And sometimes that can cause some, you know, feelings of, inadequacy, I think. And I know that must be really hard for her. And so I'm glad that I can take her somewhere for the entire day. And she's like, oh, Brittany, you know, I've worked with so many clients today and it's been a tough day at work, but I'm excited to get home and get some Chick-fil-A. Like things like that, where I think we would have continued these conversations had she continued to work and had been, you know, going on the trajectory that we expected life to go. So it's been great to able to kind of allow her to have some room to grow and room to branch out. I'm glad that you like coming here and that you can hang out, you know?
Because I used to be very introverted. I didn't want to speak to nobody. But I'm not shy anymore.
You're not shy anymore. You're not shy at all.
No. Can't be that way anymore.
Everyone says you're like their favorite person. All my friends love you. Everybody loves you. So the support groups at Paige Robbins aren't only beneficial and just an amazing thing to have because of how it brings all of these caretakers together, but I feel like for how quickly Mom has progressed, my other 20-something friends don't really know how to relate to me and relate to this issue and kind of the things I'm going through. There's something about talking to another caregiver, and coming into the first support groups, I was a little bit nervous, but honestly, there are so many similarities between caretakers across the board, and it was so great to see that just because my situation felt so unique to me, that it's really not. I'm a caretaker, an only child, and a caretaker to a single parent. And that's a whole bunch of different things that come together and I need support for and to talk about. So it's giving me even more than I thought I would have ever gotten with just, bringing Mom to Paige Robbins. I could not recommend Paige Robbins enough to anyone looking for some more support in their caregiving journey. I think you can't expect to take care of everything. I think that's the biggest lesson that I've learned, is you have to know when to kind of let stuff go and let people in. And I was incredibly nervous. My mom is, and for lack of a better way to phrase it, was my best friend. And I always kind of imagined how this would go. I'd be 35, 2 kids, president of something, really have my life together. And that's not how it turned out when I started to take care of my mom. So it was a very emotional and sensitive journey for me to let people in on helping me take care of my mom the best way that I could. And for this group to be so amazing and welcoming and treating us like we're family, it's made this process so much easier than I think I could have ever thought it would be. And so if anyone is looking for that or looking for that push, let me be that push for you, that Paige Robbins and the team here will be so incredibly additive and perfect in a way you can't even expect. Do you remember the South Pacific song we were singing?
I remember South Pacific, but I don't remember the song all the way.
Happy talking, happy talk. You got
Talk
it.
about
All the things you like to do. And then
you don't have a dream.
You've got to have a dream. How you gonna have a dream come true? That's what I'm talking about. Right?
So Brittany and Betty's story may sound familiar to you. And if it doesn't sound familiar to you now, it probably will one day in the future. I'm sure that most of us in this room fall into one of 3 categories. We have cared for someone with dementia, we are currently caring for someone with dementia, or we have known someone with dementia. Estimates vary, but experts report that more than 7 million people in the United States, 65 and older, had dementia in 2020. Women, people 85 and older, and racial and ethnic minorities are at a higher risk as well. So dementia is an umbrella term, kind of like heart disease, for a decline in cognition. And cognition includes not just memory, which is what we all think about, but it includes language, problem solving, thinking skills, being able to do basic things like drive, brush your teeth. And these cognitive changes are severe enough to affect your everyday life and independence. And dementia isn't just a single disease. It covers a wide range of diseases and conditions, and it's caused by damage to brain cells. So the brain has distinct regions that are responsible for different functions like memory, judgment, movement, language. And when the cells in that region are damaged, that affects those processes. And most causes of dementia are permanent and get worse over time. They're progressive as well, but some are actually reversible. So this is why it's really important if you have any sort of concern about your cognition or your memory to get checked out, because there are things that are reversible and treatable. So some of the treatable causes of dementia include depression, medication side effects, alcohol abuse, thyroid imbalance, and vitamin deficiencies. So those are some things that if they're caught early enough, they can actually be treated. And then the non-treatable causes of dementia, which are the ones that we hear about more often, are Alzheimer's disease, vascular dementia, which is when blood vessels in the brain are blocked, and then those areas of the brain don't get good blood flow and oxygen. Lewy body dementia, Parkinson's, and Korsakoff syndrome, which is from severe alcohol abuse. So our brains are amazing. I don't know how much you think about your brain. Maybe you worry about your brain. I worry about my brain too, because I have an 8-month-old and she takes up most of my brain. But our brains do a lot of work without us realizing. And when a person has a brain disease, things that are automatic and easy for us are very hard for them. So things that are normal for us are frustrating and anxiety producing, and it makes life hard for that person, and it makes it hard for the people that have to care for them. Everyday life becomes very complicated all of a sudden. And that sounds really sad and scary, but we're not here to talk about sad and scary things, as this is where adult day programs like Paige Robbins come in. So you have an adult day program in your own backyard, Paige Robbins Adult Day Center, and we provide unique and uplifting weekday care for adults with memory loss and the frail elderly, and we offer support and education for caregivers. So the first thing that you should know about Paige Robbins is it's a really happy place. Memory loss is very sad, but we have a lot of fun. We have a party every day at Paige Robbins, and we like to say that we help people have their best days ever. We're open Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., so that's 11 hours every weekday. We're not open at night. We don't have beds. Families bring their loved one during the day, and then they pick them up in the afternoon. And adult day programs like ours serve people with dementia, those with malignancies like brain tumors and traumatic brain injury, and the frail elderly who might be a fall risk and need a safe place to be during the day, and adults with developmental disabilities who have aged out of their programs. So adult day programs are fun, safe, and social options for care. So we have so much fun at Paige Robbins, and at adult day programs all over the country. There's so much fun going on. There's lots of planned activities. You can see some pictures on our slides. We have art, pottery, crafts, exercise, music, games, cultural celebrations, reminiscing, animal therapy. We had goats on Tuesday, baby goats that we got to hold, and the clients just lit up. They loved talking to them as well. Like I said, every day is a party. And the purpose of these activities is not just to have fun, but they also help to maintain cognitive and physical functioning. You're moving your body, you're doing things that help your brain continue working, and they provide cognitive stimulation to help delay the progression of dementia. We have a special activity program where we have 5 different activity groups. So we put people in groups based on their level of cognitive functioning. As we may have someone who can do a wonderful, complicated art project, kind of like you see back there, and then someone who would be frustrated by that or feel like they're failing at that activity. So we may give them an activity that's more simple and better to where they are at in their disease process. Page Robbins and adult day programs are also very safe. So we have a secure building. Our participants aren't roaming. A lot of times before our participants come to us, they may have been roaming their neighborhoods during the day. And that's not great. That's not safe for anyone. We've all seen the silver alerts that have been out, and that's a worst nightmare for families. So to know that your loved one is safe and in a secure facility and you know where they are, that's wonderful peace of mind. Also, they're supervised, so there's no turning on the oven and leaving it on and the house might burn down. There's no falling alone and laying there for hours. There's someone watching them at all times. We also provide help with toileting, meal preparation, eating, and medication. Having a balanced diet, eating really good meals is important for overall health. Also, food, which you are enjoying, is one thing that everyone can still enjoy and that everyone loves, especially if it's sweet. We like that. We also have a nurse on staff and trained care providers who monitor health and behavior. They can help catch things early because when someone has dementia, they may not be able to communicate what's going on quite well. So having a whole team to watch someone can really help catch health problems earlier. And then medication assistance ensures that they're not taking too much or too little. Because even if you have a pill box laid out in front of you, what does the MTWR, what does all that mean? I guess I just take everything that's in there, right? I'm not sure. So that prevents things like that from happening. Adult day programs are also social. So you get to interact with peers and it reduces feelings of isolation and loneliness. If we all think back to the beginning of the pandemic, what it felt like to be in your house and to not go anywhere, that's the reality for a lot of people with memory loss on a daily basis. They sit at home alone and they don't go anywhere. And if you've ever watched Netflix for an extended period of time, how did you feel after doing that? Your mental health probably wasn't great, and that is so much more the case for people who have a brain disease. Most of our participants before coming to us spend their days sitting in front of a TV in a dark room. And what we do at Page Robbins is very different. So staying socially connected is very good for your brain health, and you get to meet friends and have parties. I believe that was our 𝗙𝗲𝗁𝗲 party up at the top. We had the firefighters come visit, and you get opportunities to learn things, lots of fun things to do and social things. Adult day programs also offer additional services as well, rehabilitation services like PT, OT, and speech therapy, and transportation to and from the facility. And adult day programs also offer caregiver support, which is something Page Robbins offers, and personal care services like bathing and hair care, which those are things that are often deal breakers for families, because having to redo your bathroom so that your loved one can bathe in it is hard, or having to fight your loved one to make sure that they get bathed is hard as well. And sometimes it's easier when a professional can do those things. So Herbie's going to take over at this point, and she's going to talk a little bit more about our caregiver support services and how you can get involved.
There's just a little height difference. Thank you so much for coming today. We are always honored and pleased to get to share what we do. you've already gotten a good overview from a participant standpoint. But we've given you our mission statement and our guiding principles on the table there. And part of our mission that many people do not realize is that in addition to providing exceptional non-residential weekday care for those with dementia, we also provide care for the caregiver and education for the caregiver and community. When I was almost like the young woman in the video, except I was 32 when my mother was diagnosed and I had a young child. I had an infant. I realized that my mother was more impaired than I could recognize when she was helping me when we came home from the hospital. And so my life changed. Even though there were no cell phones, or that she didn't have a cell phone to be able just to push a button, I got gobs and gobs of calls because she would forget that she had called me and would call frequently. So we want the family caregivers that we serve, we want them to understand that they can work, they can go play bridge or a game of golf, they can go to a Bible study that they have not been able to do before, completely uninterrupted, because we have the care of their family member now, and they don't need to worry with that. We offer terrific support groups. We have educational sessions on a monthly basis. And David, I think you took a tip out of our playbook. We used to call our educational sessions Tea and Topics, and our attendance was dismal. We now call it Wine and Unwind, and our attendance has peaked. And I've only had to cut one person off, so it works, it works, it works. We do a monthly e-newsletter that has a blog post, and Katie, as our communications and development person, does an outstanding job with that. And one of the greatest new things about our website is that our blog posts are all searchable now. So if you're having trouble, if a caregiver is having trouble bathing someone, they can type in bathing, and all the articles that we've written about bathing pop up. Or if you're going to travel, and travel is an interesting thing with someone with memory loss, the articles about traveling internationally, how to get through TSA, all that kind of stuff pop up. So that's available to anyone and everyone. The monthly e-newsletter, we don't send stuff all the time, and you, or if you know of someone who needs that, can register on our website, and we'll get that, and it includes all of the information about the things I just mentioned. We work to secure grants to provide some books that we believe are important for people. The books that we currently are providing, and I don't mean this to sound sacrilegious, but kind of the nickname for this first book is the Alzheimer's or Dementia Bible. It's called the 36-Hour Day, and because you need 36 hours to care for someone and yourself instead of 24. We also provide Frank Broyles' playbook for Alzheimer's, and Daniel Potts, who is a neurologist in Alabama, he and his wife have written a pocket guide for caregivers. We've also recently found another one that we think is outstanding, and it's called a pocket guide, Loving Someone with Dementia. Additionally, we have some caregiver notebooks that are grand and have things that are practical that you might not think about. Like, in addition to someone who might elope that needs a safe return bracelet or dog tags or something of that nature, many people don't think about that if the caregiver happened to be in a wreck or fall and break a hip, they need to have something in their wallet with their insurance cards and their driver's license that say, I am caring for someone with memory loss, so that the individual that finds them or helps them, the paramedics, will know that maybe the person in the car has memory loss, or maybe that person is at home and who to call. So some very practical kinds of things. We are happy to have one-on-one conversations with family caregivers. We're also happy to have family conferences. While we have a social worker on staff that works, we can't provide ongoing therapy sessions like a professional therapist, but we are always happy to listen and offer suggestions and ideas. What you may not know is that all of these educational services that I've just mentioned are open to all, whether your loved one ever attends Page Robbins or not, or even lives close enough to attend Page Robbins. We have a number of long-distance caregivers. Their families live in New York State. We have someone in Texas. Their loved one will never come here, but they can access, and you or people you know can access our support as well. Katie mentioned that we provide personal care. I cared for my mother, so it was a lot easier for me to assist her in bathing. But at her home that was built in 1956, there was a step-over bathtub. It did have a shower, but Mother didn't like a shower. She showered in the Army when she was in the Pacific Theater during World War II. That was enough showering for her. She wanted a bath. Well, it was dangerous to do that. So many people don't know this, but we have we call it the Summit Spa, because we were able to purchase a state-of-the-art side entry tub through the Pat Summitt Foundation, so that we can bathe individuals. We also have a seated or standing shower. We can do a home-style hair set for the ladies. We can shave the gentlemen. There is an additional charge for that service, but trust me, I would have paid $25 many times instead of having to fight Mom to get in the shower or get in the bathtub. So I've already told you a little bit about my caregiving walk and the fact that, and you saw Brittany's, but we also have older children who are caring for their parents, many of whom are in their 60s, because David just mentioned we're living longer. The medical profession can keep us alive much longer than before. We also have spouses who are caring for a loved one, and I truly believe that's the hardest role of all, to be a caregiver for your spouse, because everything in your world has changed. You no longer have a helpmate. You have someone who is creating more work and effort, and you no longer have the partner with whom to communicate. But at Page Robbins, we currently have siblings who are caring for a loved one, nieces and nephews, cousins, grandchildren, and we have had a work friend, a colleague, who was caring for one of his former coworkers, providing care. I frankly do not have any friends, I don't believe, that would do that for me. So better make some friends, good ones. So our care team at Page Robbins, and every adult day program is different. For instance, Katie had mentioned transportation or occupational therapy. We currently don't offer those services. We are licensed and overseen by the Department of Human Services, and because we have a full-service kitchen, we're also overseen by the Memphis and Shelby County Health Department. But in the regulations, it says you have to have one employee for every 8 participants. We don't see how that's possible to provide quality care that way. So our care team ratio of our direct care providers is 1 direct care provider to every 4 or 5 participants. And then my management team is on top of that. Katie mentioned we have a registered nurse, We have a social worker. We have an activity coordinator that figures out when to bring in baby goats and when to get out the margarita machine for the mock aritas. We have the art instructors. We have music volunteers. We have a fabulous chef and a chef's assistant. We have a small administrative staff. But one of the things that we believe sets us apart is our staffing ratio for direct care staff. We do some things that are extra whenever we know about it. Who's always supposed to remember your birthday? Your mother is always supposed to be able to remember your birthday. That was a hard day for me the first time I realized my mother did not have any clue that it was my birthday. Even if I said the date, she didn't have a clue. And that was hard because your mom is supposed to always do that. So if we hear a family caregiver say, my birthday's next week, we're going to go get a card and we're going to practice. We're going to practice signing our name if we possibly can. We're going to practice writing mother or mama on the card envelope so that we can recognize that, or the person's name, we can recognize that caregiver's birthday or an anniversary. We frequently have usable but not sellable flowers given to us, and so we let the participants make flower arrangements. If I'm not mistaken, they're doing that today with some flowers from Trader Joe's, and they will take those and give those to their loved one who's caring for them. It is important for people with dementia to feel needed, appreciated, and accomplished. And we try to make those things happen every day. Going to talk a little, since this is a financial advisory firm, and want to talk a little bit about funding. While adult day programs are less expensive than in-home care or residential care, we currently are at an 88, I believe, at Page Robbins. We're currently, and the national average is about $88 a day. That includes for us 11 hours of care, 2 meals that are fabulous, and a snack. And all the supplies that someone would need while they are there, with the exception of total incontinence products. We always have extra, but we ask the family to bring any disposable undergarments that someone might need. One of the reasons it's less expensive is that we subsidize the cost of care through fundraising, through our events, through grants. So we have to raise about $750,000 annually. Katie will quickly tell me that that's $2,882 a day. I've not received that check yet this morning, so if anyone has their checkbook or would like to go online, we'd be delighted to have that. But no matter that it's less expensive, it's still a new expense for families, and we do provide some financial aid. And we were talking earlier about long-term care policies. The companies that write those are getting fewer and fewer, and they're getting more expensive by the day. But typically, if someone has a long-term care, and I think maybe you can go to the next slide for me. Typically, if someone has a long-term care policy that pays for in-home care, it will almost always pay for adult day programs. So just for an idea. Genworth does a survey every year. What you have on your table is a mini survey of costs in our area for residential facilities. These are not in any kind of ranking or order. These are just kind of close geographically to us, and we wanted to provide that so you'd have an up-to-date feel for what the costs are for that. There's also a cost for not seeking assistance with care. We've all known someone who has passed away before the person they're caring for. And the statistic that is frightening is that someone who does not seek care, who is trying to do it all themselves, is at a 67% greater risk of debilitating illness or early death than their non-caregiving counterparts. And that's a frightening statistic. The reason for that shocking statistic is that full-time caregivers often don't make the time to go for regular physicals or even dental exams. They don't go exercise. They don't eat or sleep properly. They may not take their own medications properly. They no longer have social outings. And frankly, sometimes it's too difficult to attend worship services. Do you see where this is going? So when the caregiver becomes incapacitated, what happens to the person with dementia? What then? Who cares for them? That's a shameless self-promotion for a class that we're offering on September 19th from 4 to 5 called Plan B, because we recommend that everyone make a Plan B. So you did it for your children, if you have children, of what would happen if you were no longer there. And you need to do that for the one you're caring for. So there are lots of ways to get involved. You can invite us to do something like this. Speak at a women's club or a civic club or your house of worship. You can follow us on social media. We have strong Facebook and Instagram that you can see. There were lots of goat pictures yesterday, I believe. You can follow that. Last week, our chef's assistant made an ice cream cart out of one of our rolling kitchen carts. It had an umbrella. They had ice cream hats. They even had Pop Goes the Weasel playing as they drove the cart around to the participants, and the participants chose their ice cream treat. And that had been incorporated into an art project where they all drew ice cream treats, their favorites. So things like that. So follow us on there. You'll see all the fun. You can tell a friend about what you learned today and how we might be able to help you. We have just instituted and become an area specialist on a program called Dementia Live. Robin took the class yesterday. It is a simulation of what it might be like to have memory loss. And it is strong. It is very strong. And it may help if you or someone you know is caring for someone with memory loss. It may help you understand better why, if you're going to give someone instructions, instead of saying, hey, Robin, run in the bathroom, take off your clothes and let's get a shower. We might hear shower, but we might not take off our clothes, and we might get in the shower fully dressed because we didn't hear that. Or why your loved one brushed their teeth with the arthritis cream and not toothpaste, because there are so many tubes of things in the bathroom drawer. So those kinds of things may be helpful. That would be helpful. Come and take a tour. We always love to show off what we do and let people see. You can volunteer in many different ways, and certainly you can donate. Katie can come back up. We are happy to respond to questions that you might have or concerns. The one thing I do want to tell you is that I've been there 18 years, and 5 people out of hundreds have said, please, can I come back tomorrow? No one wants to come because they'll walk in, and even though they may be 85 years old, and our youngest client, you saw pictures of him in the slideshow, Our youngest client at the time was 56. We have lots of people my age. Betty is 1 week younger than me. That's 66. We have lots of people in their 60s and 70s. But nobody likes change. No one. And if you are trusting your caregiver to be your brain, and that caregiver is no longer present, that's kind of frightening. And so we help transition that, help you, and we help coach the families on that. And sometimes what we say is it sometimes takes 6 to 8 visits, maybe longer, to get used to us to provide the care. And we ask the families to use the phrase, we're going to try this for a while, honey. Mom, we're going to try this for a while. And but we're happy to coach. Thank you all. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
We're honored to be your inaugural group.
You were the first one. Well, and all right, Katie, it is not quite noon, so I know you see you need to raise $2,000 today. So why don't we go and get your day started, and we're going to make a donation of $1,000 to Paige Robbins. So thank you. So but we really appreciate you guys coming. This program has been recorded, and because we're going to put this on our Power Years website. Everyone here in this room is now a member of the Power Years Network, and this is going to be an ongoing communication network. I know that I've experienced family members with memory loss. My mother-in-law went through this, and we know the commitment that took from our family to be able to provide for her needs. I'm sure each and every one of us have had someone in our family who has been touched with memory loss, with dementia, with the issues that you've heard both Katie and Chris talk about. The thing is, what we want to do today is to provide opportunities for y'all to be aware that we have this community with what Herbie and Katie have, an amazing facility with the Paige Robbins Daycare. And it's something that if you know someone who's going through this in their family, please, let them be aware of the resources. Have them reach out to Herbie, to Katie. Go to, share with them. We will provide this video that you can email to them, and so that they can get a little information. And so a lot of times people may be a little bit uncomfortable making that first phone call. But if you can provide that information to them, then that can make a huge difference in their life. And which is the reason why I asked the question I did to Herbie about, you hear all the amazing things that are happening for the person who's experiencing memory loss. But what you really talked about as well is that impact on the caregiver. And we have certainly seen, and I've seen throughout my career, where that person who serves as a caregiver, that they often don't take care of themselves, that they're not doing the things to take the time for themselves, and it has a huge impact on their life expectancy, their quality of life. And so whatever we can do, and for both the caregiver and the person who needs the care, we want to do that. So again, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for being part of our very first Power Years Network event. We will be convening again on October 5th, I believe it is, and that's going to be, again, it'll be our Power Hour. It will be 4:30 to 6 o'clock on October 5th, and this is the title is Reimagining Beauty with Aesthetics and Empowerment in the Power Year. I also want to be very specific and thank our sponsor today, Will McDonough and Pacific Life. Will has been a tremendous partner of ours for many, many years. We love working with him and his team, and they provide amazing products that we're able to provide for our clients. So thank you, Will, for your support of today's events. Thank you for each and every one of you for coming today. And this is something, again, every month, the first Thursday. Come join us. The topics will be many and varied, but if you have ideas, let us know. But thank you again for coming and being a part of our very first Power Years Network event. Thank you.